Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
What is up, y'all? We are here, me, Sabrina, gonna do a spoiler-filled review of the new Amazon original exclusive Borat 2, directed by Jason Welinder, and obviously starring and written by Sacha Baron Cohen. Sabrina, what did you think? For one, are you a fan of the original film, the original Borat, and how'd you feel about this one?
Yeah, so I actually am a fan. I think Borat has kind of found its place into like pop culture when it comes to like the quotes, when it comes to the costumes, the way he speaks. It's found its place because I cannot believe it's been 14 years since the first film came out. And so I was a little worried going into this one just on how they were going to expand upon the ideas from the first one, because I do think it's an incredible film, a really, really great satire. I think Sacha Baron Cohen is really intelligent, and I think he's able to, expose prejudice and bias in people through his comedy. So as we're laughing at stuff, it's also very serious issues, and it is handled that way. This is a satire, and he is on that level where he's able to make it known that, yes, this is something that we're laughing at this exact second, but this is also an actual issue. So for this one, I loved it. I finished up this film really, really enjoying it because I loved how they expanded upon the original by, first of all, it's taking place in like so much present day America. Like, this is everything that we're going through. It touched on the topic of Facebook and fake news just a little bit. Obviously Trump, obviously Pence, coronavirus as well, which is something that obviously they had no idea was going to come, and they kind of made the best of it in terms of their filming. Because this film is important, and it had to come out before the election or around that time. Like, it really had to come out at a certain time. So I love the fact that they continued working through the pandemic, and they were as safe as possible. That's something that the entire time I'm like, wow, like, this is pretty crazy that they're just hanging out with these people. They're going into people's houses during a pandemic. But the standout, 100%, this is how they expanded upon the original, was Maria Bakalova, who played Borat's daughter, Tutar. Yes, incredible. Amazing performance, amazing comedic timing, added something so important to the film, added this emotional core and this depth to the film that I really, really enjoyed. So I definitely came out of this one loving it when I was really skeptical going into it.
Yeah, no, I was definitely skeptical too. I enjoyed the first Borat. It definitely is like over the top and extreme, and definitely a little offensive in some ways. Looking back on it, but not the. I mean, it was satire, and I think is properly recognized as satire. It was actually Academy Award nominated too. I believe it best screenplay nomination when it came out. So Borat has always had like a really special place in the cultural zeitgeist. But, Sacha Baron Cohen has become like such a household name, like because of other stuff since then, whether that was like Bruno or whether that's, all of the other, The Dictator. And then, of course, he had Les Mis, and then he showed dramatic chops that we just saw in the trial of Chicago 7. And he's had a really like expansive career. So seeing him return to this character kind of feels like his return to like the old school, like Sacha Baron Cohen that people came to recognize him for. But he uses that and adapts that to like really, like you said, have really potent modern commentary on like today's issues. And I mean, he goes really in depth. I mean, he goes to like anti-mask rallies. He goes to one of the Republican conventions. I believe it was the CPAC convention or whatever. And he did the whole Trump. I remember when that Trump skit happened, like when he did the whole thing dressed as Trump and then and all that, and he got arrested for that. I remember that, and I didn't know that was part of them filming like Borat 2, but there it goes. And but also because of that, we've also become so familiar with Sacha Baron Cohen from Who Was America, right? Like that, like really like super popular show that everybody talked about, and every clip from always went viral from. Like, we know him from that, so we thought maybe it was a stunt from that, but it was really just part of filming this movie. So I'm glad to kind of see all of his. I kind of feel like this was like a culmination of all of the goodness in his career is just all coming like into one thing. And I feel like this being released at the same time as the trial of Chicago 7 is kind of like the perfect like parallel like kind of situation, because you got like the Netflix like, you know, fictional version of like this over the top like radical liberal, and then you have like the real life version of it on Amazon Prime. So I kind of really dig it for that.
Yeah, and it's really crazy because Sacha Baron Cohen, obviously, we're talking about Trial of Chicago 7 and we're talking about this. That all came out just a week apart from each other. So really right now, he is what's being talked about. He's in the news when we're talking about films right now, especially because we're not getting a lot of the releases. But the character he plays in the Trial of Chicago 7, Abby Hoffman, is like somebody who stands their ground on their views and is just very intelligent, very well spoken, but not in the like super pretentious way that other people in the film were. And I feel like that's kind of Sacha Baron Cohen in real life. He uses his craft, which in real life is like his comedy. He uses that to, yeah, like you said, like modern commentary on everything that's happening. And it's really interesting. And obviously, you know, it's been in the news. The Rudy Giuliani situation. I feel like, you know, since this is spoilers, we got to talk about that, because what I'm saying about, you know, comparing him to like Abby Hoffman and somebody who's an activist, he's, by what he's doing, like he's like an activist. He's very intelligent, and he's showing people in a different light, and he's kind of exposing people for who they are. And so with this Rudy Giuliani situation, with him and Maria Bakalova, they're putting themselves, like you said, also the anti-mask and the Republican conventions, like all of those, they're putting themselves into pretty dangerous situations if they're caught. That's something that I really admire, because I don't know if I would have the same balls as Maria Bakalova to be able to put myself in the Rudy Giuliani situation.
Yeah, I mean, that was crazy. I mean, it's crazy that I let himself be in that position. It's crazy that, you know, I mean, to me, it's just funny that he didn't recognize something was up when Sacha Baron Cohen comes stumbling in as the weird sound guy. Like, at that exact moment, I would have walked out. Like, are you kidding me? That's the weirdest thing I would have ever seen ever. And I don't know if they reshot some of it, like, when they're having, like, a private conversation. But I'm like, dude, this dude's around the corner. Like, this dude's not hearing any of this. Like, this is stupid. So I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking. He must have really thought he was getting something. Maybe I wasn't watching the movie clear enough. I didn't really hear her clarify that she was 15 though. I didn't really hear that. I think they could have, you know, maybe done a better job of like making that clear. That was the one thing I was like, you know, they like, you know, even if she was just a normal adult girl, it still would have been a really wrong thing. Of course, but yeah, I guess since, you know, the actress herself isn't underage, I guess that's why maybe they didn't do that. But either way, I thought that whole scene was crazy. I thought, you know, him like actually touching like the back of her, like, you know, seemingly like almost back of her waist, like, you know, almost like her butt area, was like, oh my God, like, yeah, he was really trying to get some. I definitely saw a little bit of the magic of editing when he was doing when he had his hands in his pants thing, because I definitely noticed, okay, they used 2 seconds on this one and 2 seconds on this one, 2 seconds. I think they used the same clip, just like from different angles, but they stretched it out a little bit. That's the magic of editing. Salute to the editors out there. In the blink of an eye, Walter Murch, one of the greatest editing books of all time. That's some good stuff right there. I like that they you know, but they shined a light on somebody who's a real creepo, and I don't know what his deal was. I know he just got divorced in 2019, so I don't know if this is like a regular occurrence for him. I don't know what kind of expectations he went into with a journalist with, but it's absolutely wrong and disgusting. So
that's the thing. Also, first of all, like, we were going through the pandemic while this was happening. That's kind of what their interview was about. And regardless, even though, because that's why, yeah, we can't use the 15, because she's 15 in the film. She's not 15 in real life. We can't use the 15 to say that he's like, nobody's putting labels on him saying he's like a pedophile or anything. I just feel like it's very, very alarming that it is somebody that very clearly younger than who he is. He's in a position of power, and, you know, people can kind of use those opportunities to take advantage of others. And it clearly shows that he was expecting something to come out of this. He went, we do interviews. We interview people for like movies and things like that. If we finish up an interview, we're not going to sit in a hotel room with alcohol with any of the people that we're interviewing. That's not happening. That's not how people conduct themselves. It's not friendly. That's another level of something that you don't do. So to be in that kind of position of power that he's in the country, not even just to be a celebrity, he is Trump and company.
House.
Yeah, he's in the White House. He's Trump and company. He's in the like most prestigious house in the nation. He's a part of all of that. So the fact that he was doing that basically is just what it is. It's just ethics, and it's just showing that he might have done this before. If he was so eager to do it, he was being so creepy, he was flirting throughout the entire interview, and obviously she was as well. This is something that they expected. The actress put herself in a real life uncomfortable situation to get this certain reaction and to expose and to do commentary on these issues that are happening, which is that a lot of the people in positions of power will take advantage of that in order to get something that they want from others. And so that's really what it was for me. Yes, I don't know about the editing and things like that, but the fact that he put himself and her into that situation of just drinking alcohol together, being in the hotel room, it doesn't matter if he's willing, and if the person you're with is willing, it's so wrong.
Touching her like that, like patting her, that was all bad. Even laying down like that, like, dude, if you claim you're tucking in your shirt, you're not tucking in your shirt, bro. Nobody tucks in their shirt like that. I don't know what kind of old man. I don't know. That don't make no sense. Like, you stand up to tuck your shirt. That don't make laying down. Nah.
When do we interview people and then we just like hang out in bed with them? Like, that does not happen.
Especially as pants are getting unbuckled and it's nah. None of that.
Buffoon.
yeah, that's some clown stuff. But I mean, otherwise, listen. But we saw a lot of Sacha Baron Cohen exposing a lot of clown behavior from a lot of people. I mean, like, you're right. There's the moments when he's inside of the house, like, in the middle of, like you said, like a pandemic. I mean, a lot of these people, I don't know if they're the most clean people, like, and hygiene wise, living in basements and whatnot. But I definitely felt that there were some times in the movie that there were some skits that people were just like, I feel like sometimes they just kind of went along with it because like it was like for the cameras. I feel like there's a lot of times where people went way more extreme and over the top, and those were like the really, really funny ones. But like, I said this one on First Cut Live last night, but when when like the cake, when he's like getting the person in the cake to be like, write all Jews, whatever. I don't even want to repeat what he like how to write. And then she just like kind of did it. I was like, oh, that's funny, but it just kind of didn't go anywhere. I don't know. Yeah,
I think it just shows that people in certain areas, or honestly throughout the entire country, they kind of just like turn a blind eye. That's kind of what I got from something like that. Like, she's just like, yeah, I'll write, you're buying the cake, this is what you want to write, whatever. But to me, like, which I get because she's just doing her job, but to me, if I worked at a cake shop, I worked at a bakery at one point, and if somebody was like, oh, customize it and write this like really obscene message, right, I would be very, very uncomfortable. I definitely wouldn't do it. And I'm not saying she's a bad person for doing it. It's just interesting to see how people deal with those kind of situations and how some people are more lenient to kind of just do something because they don't want to have a conversation with somebody about it, to be like, oh, that's kind of weird and gross. But yeah, those situations, and like you said, him being in the house with the guys, I thought it was just, the stuff they say is just insane. Like, it's just, talking about like, oh, what's worse, like the coronavirus or Democrats? Or like, Democrats. And it just shows like the divide in the country and how it's just so ridiculous and out there at certain points. Like, to compare Democrats to coronavirus is something that's like, I wouldn't compare Republicans to cronavirus.
But it, to me, the parts that always certifiably made me laugh was the stuff, like you said, with the daughter. To me, like the scene when she's like, when they're trying out, I think it was makeup or something. She was like, do you own this business? And she was like, yes. And then, or she was like, who owns this business? And the lady was like, I do. She's like, women own businesses? And then she starts freaking out. And then she's getting babysat by the lady, and the lady's driving. She's like, women can drive. Like, what? Like, this is so dumb.
That whole book, that had all the things saying women can't drive, women can't own businesses, women, like, your like vagine, like all of that kind of stuff. I thought was hilarious. I thought that was an amazing like device throughout the entire film that we kind of kept going back to. And then when she gave the book to Giuliani.
Oh yeah.
Like,
he
what?
opens it and he's like, "What?"
Like, there are such memorable moments that because there's so many of them, it's like we forget. Like throughout the entire thing, we keep referring to this book, and then she just gives it to him. She's like, "This was my dad's. I want you to have it." He's like, "Wow, thank you." He opens it to the vagine part.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of moments. I'm wondering, and I'm kind of bringing up this question to you. Like, how do you think this is going to age? Because Borat still holds up like pretty well after 14 years, but this one is so timely. This one is so focused on coronavirus, Trump, Pence, like all of that, Facebook. That do you think it's still going to hold up in the same way in a few years? And is it as effective when it's tackling those topics for you?
I mean, I definitely think it's a part of a moment in time, but I think we're always going to remember this moment in time. You know what I mean? I think, it's going to be timely because I think 2020 is just going to be a timely era. We're going to revisit this a lot. And I frankly think this is going to be seen as one of the first movies to ever tackle the issue of 2020, like as in the midst of it happening. It's going to be one of the first ones, I think, to do it, and I think we're going to see a lot of movies that have, references to coronaviruses or references to, to like Republicans and Trump and whatnot, or Giuliani, but we're not gonna, it's not gonna, this just was first to the race. And I think we're going to see a long time before we're going to see a little bit more of that, maybe interpret it a little less satirically or a little less directly. But I think also too, I think what's also going to keep it withholding for a test of time is the father-daughter angle of it, because I think there is like an overall like, beautiful humanitarian kind of message of, we should treat, we should be equal. We shouldn't, be, there should be like a relationship between a father and daughter that's not like toxic misogyny or toxic, passing on these toxic beliefs, or there shouldn't be countries that actually do practice a lot of stuff, because there are, I mean, frankly, literally, I think it was 2018, like women can even drive in Saudi Arabia, like for real. So like, I was laughing at that joke, but there is some sadness to it, knowing that there's a lot of cultures and a lot of countries that do actually follow that. So I think, addressing that and making that a big through line in this story, I think will also help it age really well too.
Yeah, I agree. I really do think the performances from these two together and their dynamic is what keeps everything together. Obviously, there's those moments where they branch off and they have their own adventures themselves and they still work and they're still effective, but them together and just the story that they're trying to say, I agree with you where like this is a specific moment in time that people are going to remember for a long time, and you're going to be able to get a glimpse of it in years to come, if you want to, by watching this film. It's like, why would we want to revisit this? Well, maybe we can go back after a certain point and see it in that humorous light, because it, even though I was like laughing, like you said, some of the stuff I'm just like, damn, like that's sad. Like that, it is so sad that we're sitting here laughing at that. And like, it actually happens, like these rallies and the stuff that they're saying at these rallies. And I'm like, this is real. This happens across the country. It's something interesting, but I like to bring these issues to the forefront, especially in this kind of way where a lot of people can find humor out of it, because like, I think Sacha Baron Cohen's very effective in that way. It makes it easier to digest instead of just watching, because it's kind of like, we talked about like the Daily Show, Jordan Klepper, how he goes to the rallies and we're laughing at it. But then it's also like, we're like, these are real people who are
brainwashed,
and they're saying these ridiculous things. And so take it for what it is. But okay.
I was gonna say, not even just at the rallies. I mean, I literally completely forgot about this part until I just looked it up online. When they go to like the pro-life pastor and literally, she swallowed the little plastic baby, and then the dude's like, I put a baby, like literally Borat as her father is saying that he puts a baby inside of her, and the pastor's still like, oh, you gotta keep it. Like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, that is insane. This is insanity.
Yeah, exactly. Exposing people for like just showing like a certain belief or a certain thing and being like, how ridiculous, and like you contradict yourself. You're like, oh, pro-life, And he's talking about pro-life, and then but he finds out something so unethical of the father impregnating his daughter is what he believes to be the case, and he doesn't do anything about it. He's like, okay, I don't want to hear about it. That's fine. Just don't say anything else. I don't need any details. But he's so serious about being in her business by making her keep the child and convincing her to keep the child. It's just showing those aspects, because in any way, shape, or form, people can contradict themselves. People can have moments where that's the case. But just to see it so blatant is crazy to me. Like, in a situation where this guy is telling her not to get an abortion, but then is also finding out that her father impregnated her. Obviously, it's a bit in the film. And just not doing anything about it. Like, she could be in danger. Like, and he's just, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to do anything. Just keep the baby is the biggest thing. But yeah, there was so many crazy moments. I mean, there's literally, I don't know if you have any other favorite moments you want to highlight, Sabrina. I really do think the woman, the babysitter, the one that was taking care of her for a while. I do think all those moments are just hilarious. Like, having those like interactions and like the ball and chain and just everything is so crazy and zany. So I loved all the moments with her and Maria Bakalova. Again, I'm just going to shout out incredible work in this film.
Yeah, no, absolutely. My perhaps favorite part was at the very end, like the end, right before the end credits, when they're having like the race between Dr. Fauci and the Karen, and the Karen lady shoots Dr. Fauci and injects him with coronavirus. It was just so fun. I don't know why. It just had me screaming.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
That entire thing where it was like the Karen and Dr. Fauci, that was funny.
Yeah. And even, I think they even had they had another good Dr. Fauci joke in there too. I can't remember exactly which one, but it was all really funny stuff. I applaud them for taking these big risks, and there's some that I felt didn't hit as hard, but there was a lot that really did. So overall, I scored this pretty high as one of the better comedies I think this year. So
yeah, I think it's honestly in my top 10 of the year so far. Obviously this is something that I'm gonna have to revisit and kind of really think about going forward in the future, but I was really surprised by how much I love this. I'm probably going to give it like an 8 out of 10. Most of it worked for me. Of course, as in any comedy, some stuff falls flat, especially when we're talking about a satire that is like commentating on our modern, like everything that's happening right now. Of course, some stuff is going to fall flat. But I really loved it. I love the directions that they went with it, and I highly recommend it, especially because it's on streaming. Yeah, I would recommend everybody to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. I'd also recommend everybody check it out. I think it's, if I were to score it out of 10, I'd probably give it around the same. I'd probably go for like a 7.7 out of 10. Like, it was really good. I thought it was, I had a lot of laughs, and I also really just dig the political commentary. I just love, and I think the perfect timing. I love that it just ends with vote now. Like, it doesn't even matter when people are going to watch it. A lot of people are probably going to watch it after the election and still going to tell people to vote. So keep encouraging that message. Keep spreading the good word of, getting people politically active. And I salute Sacha Baron Cohen for that. So either way, y'all, that was our spoiler review of Borat 2. It's a really long title, so I'm not even going to try to say the rest of it. But let us know what you think in the comments down below. Did you like Borat 2? Are you a fan of the first one? Do you think this one's going to hold up? Let us know in the comments down below. And thanks for watching. My name is RB3.
I'm Sabrina.
And we are peacing out, y'all. Peace out.
This ain't funny, so don't you dare laugh. With the 4/5 divide you in half.